Hello, my name's Jane from the University of Westminster, and I'm going to be talking to you today about starting your studies with us this January. So, just to clarify for people who are just joining now, before we get started fully, I am talking about January start programmes. So, we always offer a January start in postgraduate courses. This year, we are offering a limited number of bachelors in business and marketing to start in January. And then a much wider range of masters than we usually do. But we are predominantly talking about masters courses. So if you're not looking for one of the business or marketing areas, then come and have a chat with us at the stand. That's for bachelors. If you're looking for equally for a master's that we don't have starting in January, still worth coming to have a chat with us. And you might still find this presentation a useful overview about the university. We also work in conjunction with Kaplan International College London, who offer a Westminster pathway into a number of our degree programmes at bachelor's and master's level, and they have January starts as well. So I'm going to cover them briefly, but anyone who might be looking at that and may need the foundation or a pre-master's, you can come and have a chat with us, or we can put you directly in contact with Kaplan. So I work in the international team at Westminster, and I am attending the SRUK fair. SRUK know us very well, we work very closely, and they help many of our students come to join us. So any questions you've got for your counsellors, you can come and speak to me today or talk to any of the SRUK team. So we're going to talk about why you should study in London. Some of you might be here already, and hopefully you already know, and why Westminster, and then looking a little bit more detail at those January start offering that we have, how it works if you start a programme in January, and then the applications, entry requirements, and most importantly, the deadlines and dates. So do bear with me, and also a lot of this information is on our website, and we'll give you links too. So why London? At the moment, things are a little bit difficult, but London has consistently, the past 2 years in a row, has been voted the best student city in the world. And that has to mean something. If you're here already, hopefully you've been able to go out a little bit, despite the circumstances, and get to know London and enjoy it. But, you know, it has a huge number of international students studying at a wide range of institutions, and it really is about the offering, the reputation for the education providers, both in London and the UK, and then the resources that you have on your doorstep if you're in London. So that's really not just about the culture and the fun and the enjoyment of London, which is all great, but it's also about thinking about careers, future, access to a lot of the professional bodies. You know, the British Library is still the biggest library in the world. You've got that real diverse mix of different types of institutions and study opportunities if you come here. And then on top of that, you've got, you know, everything great about a world city. So just to go very briefly into this a little more for those of you who might not be quite so familiar, we are still considered the financial capital of the world, still have more European multinational HQs than anywhere else in Europe. We have a lot of the core key businesses, so even top industry areas where you may think of the US first, a lot of things like, for example, two of the big music business companies have big branches in London. So whatever your area you're looking to come and pursue, and you may want to be looking to get work experience in while you're studying or after, then think about, you know, that side of London. Still the biggest currency trading capital of the world. And the University of Westminster really benefits from being right in the heart of all of this. We work very closely with our neighbouring businesses, and also benefit from the fact that we have a lot of professional bodies around us, and all those industries mean we can get some really great guest lectures and speakers coming in for our students as well. And Westminster was established to teach Londoners professional skills, and we are still following through with that today, and we focus very much on applied programs, teaching styles and the curriculum and the teachers that have relevant, up-to-date knowledge of their field. And also you'll find a lot of professional accreditations across our programmes when you look at the course pages. The other great thing, obviously, about studying in London is the fact that it's a very welcoming capital city. So there's lots to do, whatever you enjoy and whatever you want to find in terms of culture or activities or food, you should be able to find it in London. And the fact that it is so diverse, the University of Westminster reflects that in its own environment and makeup. So we have an incredibly diverse mix of students from over 165 different nationalities. And we're consistently ranked one of the top international universities in the world in terms of our international outlook. So that's not just about the mix of students, it's also about the focus of the curriculum. And what it really means for you is both that you're going to be studying in a city that's very used to people from all over the world, and you should hopefully feel at home in, and you can really benefit from those different experiences that you might not get wherever you are based. You can go out and explore. And you will meet in the classroom students from many different places, and that's a great way to gain perspective and to gain contacts for the future, for your career. So we're really trying to, it's not just about the teaching, it's also about, learning in that environment, learning in an environment where the teaching staff are very used to teaching people from different educational backgrounds, hopefully feeling happy and welcomed in your classroom, and feeling as well that you have learned many skills that you will use through your future career and in life, gained by studying with that real global mix. Thinking about the fact that most people go on to work in global companies, it's really, a lot of our graduates say that was one of the things they really enjoyed about studying with us, and that now they've graduated, they've got their studies, and also they have this great network of friends and contacts around the world. Probably don't need to go into too much detail about the cultural and the social. Hopefully things are going to get back to normal in the early new year, or possibly some new normal, and obviously into the future. But London still has a fantastic range of the museums, the galleries, and when we teach things like museum and gallery studies, which has a January start, we really make the most of our being in London and the contacts we have with some of those great museums. If you're studying tourism, then think about things like the fact that we're still the top tourist destination in the world, and the case studies you can do around that. Then things about the film and TV. We have our own cinema, Regent Street, which has reopened, I understand. And if you're thinking about things across film and TV, there's all of that to consider. But I won't go into too much about that now. So studying in London, you're going to enjoy being in this great city, and you're also going to benefit from the contacts, the industry exposure, and the warm welcome of a global city. You also get to, obviously, studying in London or in the UK, you're looking at an education system of 3-year bachelor's and 1-year master's programmes, and a very well respected and recognised education system. So Westminster, as I've said already, but just to reiterate, we really try and use our location in London to maximise what our students get to do and the opportunities they have while they're here. And we've been around in various forms since the early 1800s, teaching Londoners. And we really have always looked at new pioneering methods of education, and we continue to do that. And I think as things are changing so fast and everyone is having to adapt very quickly at the moment, that's also really important to think about. We are teaching predominantly online at the moment. We have some in-person teaching for small groups, and I'm going to talk a bit more about the January plans a little later on. And then really with Westminster, it's about those links, the professional skills, and the support that you get at the Careers Service. We have a fantastic mentoring scheme and we can give you the links through for our careers and employability services for more information. So we have 4 campuses, and we are situated in the Borough of Westminster, hence our name. You might well be familiar. So we've got the Marylebone campus, that's opposite to Baker Street Station, a Cavendish campus underneath the BT Tower, which you may or may not know, and our Regent Street campus, which is our original building. These are all, in case you're not in the UK or you haven't visited London, central London is actually really quite accessible, and you can walk between these 3 sites, central London sites, within 20 to 15 minutes between each. Greater London is very large, but central London is really quite small and accessible, very good public transport links that everybody uses. And then if you're at our Harrow campus, that's about 25 minutes on the underground. There's also bus services out to Harrow. So I'm going to go through all the January start options we have now, but if you want to check which courses we do have, then you can click on the link, hopefully it will work, or come and see us at the fair today, or speak to one of your SI UK advisors and they can guide you through into our website to check your course. And again, just to mention, you've got the link through there to Kaplan International College London pathway options. So the London College has the Westminster routes both at foundation and pre-masters, and they have many options starting in January and also some in March, which would lead on to you joining Westminster next September. So there's no need to delay. You can still start as soon as possible. So our Marylebone campus, that's the one at Baker Street, our largest site. This is where we're offering a small group of bachelor's programs starting in January. And so we have business management with entrepreneurship, and BA marketing management. BA Business Management is a very broad year 1 that offers you the opportunity to take modules across many different areas. So there is a possibility, and we can discuss this further with you if you're interested in this, to transfer at the end of year 1 into one of the other business management pathways. So that's quite an open programme. These courses all start in January 21, and they will go on to year 2 in September 21. So they're working as an accelerated, compressed course. And the structure of the year will be slightly different. So you will study through the summer, and you'll finish your programme in August and go on to year 2 in September. So it's really there for those students that weren't ready with everything that's happened this September, and now you don't want to wait another year, so you can just start, and you don't need to wait until next September, and you won't have missed out because you didn't start in the September just gone. Also really important to mention here that EU students, you can be eligible for student funding, student tuition fee loans for the January start programmes, because they still fall in the academic year of 2020-2021. So that's hopefully a good option. And for other students looking across other business bachelor's degrees, then definitely worth having a look at the Kaplan options that we have that will start in January. So master's courses, we always offer a wide range of masters in business starting in January, and this year is no different. And we have a couple of new additions. So our MBA has started again, and we haven't put subject area specifics on the slide here because there is such a broad range. But if you have a look on the website, project management has a January start, which I don't think it always does. And we have 2 new courses that I've just highlighted at the bottom, and that's a Master of Science in FinTech with Business Analytics, which is really great growing area. And the tutor and course leaders have been doing a lot of webinars, and there are lots of sessions you can watch if you'd like to find out more about specific programs on our YouTube channel. Equally, another new programme that started this year is the MSc in Sustainability Management and Innovation. And that, again, is a real growing area as we look at meeting new laws for environmental policy and corporate social responsibility. So I think there's also a recorded webinar on our YouTube channel for that subject, or you can come and find out more from us, and we can always get you in touch. Further questions. Also still at our Baker Street. So our Baker Street Marylebone campus is separated between the business school and the architecture and built environment faculty department, sorry. So at this site, we have a wide range of programs, but these are just the January courses. So this January, we are offering courses across architecture, construction, real estate, and the air and transport planning. So other subject areas we do offer, and the rest of them will all of them will start next September, but those are the January start options. Go onto the course pages to find out more, and then go onto the YouTube channel for detailed webinars, or sign up for one of our upcoming webinars, as we're doing many over the next few months. And any other questions, you can just get in touch and ask. So this is our Cavendish campus, and that's at the BT, underneath the BT Tower, again in central London. This is one of our smaller campuses. You can see from the pictures, hopefully, all the campuses are quite different. And what I always say to students looking at Westminster is, look at your subject and the contents of the course, which you can find on each of our web pages about each course. Look at whether or not you want to be in London, you know, and really benefit from being in the city, and then look at the campus that you'd be studying your subject at, and check maybe on social media with students who studied there and got a similar experience, or, you know, look for information about that campus, because each of the sites is quite different and quite unique. So these are the 3 programs we're offering at January start. Big data technologies, business intelligence analytics, and a new program in integrative health and well-being. Also, not to forget, Kaplan London offer quite a number of foundation routes into our biosciences, so it's things like biotechnology, also our computing programs, nutrition, psychology. So those would be other options for starting in January and hopefully progressing to us in September. Our Regent Street campus is our original building, and that is possibly the one that you see on a lot of our materials and information, because it's our headquarters. It's a much more traditional British university building, as you may imagine it one to be. It's fairly small. It's very, very central, right next to Oxford Circus Station, and this is where our cinema is as well. And around the corner is the School of Law, where we have a wide range of, for January, LLM programs starting. So they're linked together, and you have all the facilities on the site. For each of the university buildings that I've been through, the campuses, they all have their own cafe, their own library, student union, and then different. So Regent Street site has a gym, and there's also a gym at one of our other sites. And you can use the buildings as you like, but you will find that most of your classes for your subject are taught on your campus. So you don't have to be travelling around all the time. But if you want to make the most of the other facilities, go to the student union bar at Harrow, or come into Regent Street to use this gym, then of course you're very welcome to do that. But you'll find everything you need day to day for your teaching, including workspaces and IT support on the campus. So we always have a lot of January start courses at Regent Street, because it's our social science, liberal arts and social sciences. And the masters that we have starting in January go across many LLMs and law, as I've mentioned, things like TESOL, translation and interpreting, and that's a course that we normally only start in September, but that is starting this January. So don't delay if you'd like to join. And a number of other programs as listed there. And then just a reminder again of the options for both pre-masters and bachelors through foundation, through the pathway providers as an option to start now if you'd like. So finally, Harrow are very different again, very modern. It's much more of that campus feel. There's accommodation on the site here, and students tend to spend quite a lot of time working in the studios. This is where we have our digital and creative industries campus and courses. So again, these are the January offering, all master's programmes, and they're all courses that we don't normally start in January, but we've had an additional or deferred January start for January this year. So they're really well-respected programs. We've got some fantastic alumni, and if you'd like to know any more about any of these courses, please look on the course pages. You can see examples of student work, you can see some of the graduate successes, and you can get much more of a feel by doing a virtual tour of the studios as well and having a look at facilities and equipment. So you've got documentary photography, music business management, fashion business management, and our MA menswear, which is a fashion design based program. So some great options for you. This is just the Tube map in case it's what you're more familiar with, to show you, and just to say again, so it's really easy to get around between the campuses. And we also have accommodation for students, and we have plenty of accommodation for students starting in January. So we've got accommodation at Harrow, as I've mentioned, and we have a space in a partner hall provider at Wembley Park. As you can see, the little accommodation housing bubbles here. And then we also have accommodation of our own at our Marylebone campus. We have another over called Alexandra Fleming Hall over in East London. And then we also work with a range of halls, student residences, that provide accommodation for University of Westminster students and students studying at other London universities. Our university accommodation team are being as flexible as possible. There's far more information about this on our website, but there are lots of options for students who are starting their courses online. If you're actually overseas at the moment and you're not ready to join quite yet, but you're maybe coming a month or two later, get in touch with us at Student Accommodation, and we can talk about the ways that you can delay your entry and only pay for when you come to study. But I won't go into lots of detail about that now, but that is an option. We're trying to help students, and there's a great care package in place for students coming from overseas that need to quarantine for the first 2 weeks. So we have support in place for that, including cooking utensils and food for when you arrive, and then help and support for you if you need to order further food and other things that you'll need to do. But again, a lot more information about that. Come and have a chat with us at the stand if that's something you'd like to know more about. So very quickly, as I've mentioned already, those bachelor's programs in business, so I shouldn't say international relations, but in business, that are starting in January, are going to run through January. They don't follow the normal semester route that would be January to May. Instead, they're going to extend through. You'll have courses through May, June, July, and then an exam period, and then hopefully you should join the second year of the programme with all the students who started in September 20, just gone. You'll all join together in September 21 onto your second year. So I'll share a link with you about that in a moment. And the master's courses that start in January, we always have these master's programs starting in January, and I've got a link through for you for calendar of dates if you want to know how they work in more detail. But you basically also have some teaching later into the summer. You do still have holidays, and then you would start your second semester, and you have an exam period often in the following January, so it runs January to January as a year. So application processes, obviously quite unusual that we have a bachelor's starting in January, but it's still through UCAS. If you're applying to any of the Kaplan Foundation routes, you apply directly to Kaplan. They can help you through the website, or SRUK can help you, and then you'll come straight onto Westminster without the need to reapply as soon as you pass your exams. But if you're applying to one of those BA, business management, entrepreneurship, or marketing courses that we're starting this year, then it will be through UCAS. So standard application really, you need to include your certificate so far, a reference, and your personal statement about why you want to do the subject. And we've got an application deadline for Westminster of the 30th of November to start this January. So to check whether or not, whether or not you're eligible to apply, whether it's for the bachelor's or the master's, you can look on our country pages on our website for equivalencies for the qualifications in your country, or you can just get in touch and ask. Your counsellor at Study UK will be able to tell you a lot more. If you're not sure, you're welcome to come and speak to us in the booth today, or get in touch. And for this year, because of the circumstances, and it's difficult for a lot of people to take tests, we actually lowered our English requirements and have just added in more in-sessional English support to help students. So the undergraduate English requirements pretty much stayed the same at IELTS 6 with 5.5 in each section, or we're accepting a wider range of equivalent qualifications, so TOEFL, TOEFL at home, IELTS indicator. We've always accepted PTE, and a number of other programs. You can find the qualifications we accept on the English requirements webpage. For master's courses, we are also asking this year for an IELTS of 6 across most programs. So that's lower than normal, and that's just to reflect the fact that we know people haven't been able to go to class and they haven't been able to book exams. So there are some exceptions to that, and it will always be stated on the course page, but that's the kind of general minimum. A lot of European high school qualifications we're accepting. We accept IB, but you can see all the list on that page or get in touch. Entry requirements for the equivalencies you'll find on the country pages there. If you're not sure or you have different qualifications to what's listed, then do just ask. We will always state if there are additional requirements. So some courses require a portfolio, and that's clearly stated. We're not interviewing for January. We do interview sometimes, but if there's anything else you need, it would always be on your course page. We also often accept work experience. Sometimes it's required for a small number of our master's courses. For the majority, it's not. But if you have significant work experience in a closely related subject, then that can help if you think that you've got slightly different qualifications academically. So for postgraduate programs, we also have an online application process. We use UCAS Postgraduate, but Study in UK will help you with that. And it's similar. You include a statement about your experience and skills so far, what your plan is for the future, why you want to study your subject, and you include your transcripts as you have them so far. If you haven't finished some studies yet, you just note that. And we also ask that you would include a resume or a CV with experience from work, paid or unpaid. It might be projects that you've done, and we would look at that. And then we ask for a reference as well. If you're working and you finished your studies a little while ago, then you can use a professional reference. Normally, if you're just graduating, you would use an academic reference. Same deadline applies, 30th of November for starting in January. So the costs and the fees is something people worry about a lot about being in London. Actually, our tuition fees, all bachelor's programmes for home EU fee payers for this year are £9,250 and £14,000 for international fee payers. Postgraduate vary between £12,000 and £22,000. Or they'll always be on each course page. It's another bonus of starting in January is that your fees will stay at the same level. They tend to change a little bit each year. So September 21 fees are published on our pages as well if you'd like to look at those. And the other thing that's really important for EU students to remember with all the changes that are coming, you can be eligible for home fees for January, depending on your circumstances, and you may be able to get tuition funding as well. So speak to your SRUK counsellor about that and don't delay starting. Best to start as soon as you can and not wait until next September. We have some scholarships. We always offer a range of scholarships. They're mainly at postgraduate level for January. There are a couple of EU undergraduate options. They're based on financial need, academic excellence, and what your development plan is. So what you're going to do with your studies. We want to show you to show us why we should help you come and study the subject and how you're going to use it in the future. There's a lot more information about that, including a great YouTube video about applying for a scholarship, but I've included the website link there. You have to apply for your course and get an offer before you can apply for a scholarship with us. It's a separate application process. It works differently at different universities, so I know this can be confusing, but you need to apply for your course, get your offer, and apply for a scholarship. And the deadline, the first deadline for scholarships is the 9th of November. So international scholarship applicants must have submitted their scholarship application to us by the 9th of November at the latest. You're welcome to submit earlier. We encourage you to do so if you can. Once you've got your course offer, go to the scholarships website, take the application form from there, and you can complete it and send it by email by the deadline. You will need to ensure that you meet the eligibility requirements before you apply. So they depend very much on the size of the scholarship you're applying for, but the majority of our January start scholarships are looking at partial fee waivers, and that's really looking for academically strong, good students that are going to contribute to the university community. If you end up looking for a scholarship that's anything more than 50%, you have to prove your financial need as well, and there's a lot more guidance about that on the website. So, really important dates. There's no, you don't need to worry and wait until next September. A lot of people, I think, it's been a really difficult year getting results, getting transcripts, making plans, and a lot of people have missed out on starting in September. So this is a really good opportunity for you to, not lose any more time, begin your studies. And there's time to do that, and it's great that you're watching and that you're at the event today. It's good to be doing your research at the moment, but I would encourage you to submit your application as soon as possible in the next few weeks. So we've put in some quite strict dates for January, just because everything's taking a little bit longer at the moment, and we might need to check things with you. And then there's the closure for the winter holidays as well. So everybody needs to have applied by the 30th of November at the very latest, but we'd really encourage you to apply over the next few weeks if you can. You don't have to have all your documents when you apply, so if you haven't taken your English exam yet, or you're waiting for a reference to come through, don't let that put you off. Don't let it stop you. Submit your application and then forward anything else on when you get it. So international students that want to start and might be thinking that they're going to be starting online and they're not going to travel yet, that's possible, but you do still need to have applied for your CAS with us. So you don't have to have applied for your visa, but you need to have started the CAS process to be able to enrol. Because of that, we've put in some dates and deadlines for that. So international students who aren't in receipt of full funding or government scholarships have to pay a deposit of £4,000, which then is taken from your tuition fees. And the deadline for that will be the 4th of December to pay that deposit and meet all final conditions. So really, we're looking at people applying in the next couple of weeks, do your research, make some course applications, then making a decision about what you want to do by the end of November at the latest, and being ready at that point to do the deposit payment and start your CAS process. Keep in mind, if you're thinking about January and you are a student who's going to require a visa, then you need to start preparing financial evidence if you need that, but you can speak to one of the visa advisors about that and check on our visa web pages as well. If you're in the UK, you may not need to do that. If you're a European student and you're in the UK, or you're coming to the UK before the end of December, then this may well not apply to you. So students who don't have to meet the the CAS deadlines, they have until the 11th of December to meet all final conditions. So that's something like sending your final reference, or if you had an English exam outstanding, you'd need to have got that by that 11th of December. And that's just a reminder for EU students. We've got lots of information on our website about the upcoming changes as the transition period ends, but encouraging students, if they'd like to not have to go through the new visa process, and you're in the UK, then you need to sort out, or you're coming to the UK, then to come before those dates. So that's the key message, is really apply soon, and it's not too late, but do start now. We'll teach, our teaching starts on the 9th of January officially. That's the very first date, but there'll be enrolment induction through that week of the 11th to the 15th, where people find out about the university, have welcome sessions, and then we'll get their modules and choose their timetables. And then teaching officially begins between the 11th and the 22nd of January next year. There's the link to the full academic calendar, and it's separated out for the undergraduate starts, for the January start masters, so you can see for you how the year works and have a look at that. Accommodation, as I've mentioned, is open for people who want to start in January, and you're welcome to apply. We are doing our January start enrolment and orientation online, and we will be doing a lot of the teaching online in January initially. We will send more information about this through, and we'll be updating our website as things are confirmed and the situation develops. We are hoping for in-person teaching next semester, but the initial start will be online, and much more information about that's available. If you're wanting to find out more and want to talk to tutors in more detail about that, because it's all by course, then please do come and attend one of our open events. We've got a next undergraduate one on the 28th of November and a postgraduate event on the 18th. But I'd really encourage you to submit your applications before then, and then you could use these events to ask any final questions and find out more. There are lots of other events that we have happening as well, and those recorded webinar sessions I mentioned, and SI UK are there to assist and support you. So we have a very flexible policy for deferral. If you want to apply for January, but then things change and you want to then defer, that's optional. And also a very clear refund process when you get to the point of needing to pay your deposit and make a final decision in case things change in the new year. So we're trying to be as flexible as we can, but we have put in those dates to ensure anyone who's applied will get everything they need to join us in January, and they won't get held up by that December closure that everyone has in the UK. Just finally, about costs and fees, lots more guidance if you're not in London, you're wondering how it's going to work. London doesn't have to be a really expensive choice. In fact, it really isn't for a lot of people coming to study, because we have a 1-year master's, 3-year bachelor's course programme. And if you're prepared to live as a student, stay in our halls of residence, there are some costs guidance here, and lots more links and information on the websites there that you can find out. So I'm going to finish there. Unfortunately, I can't take questions today, but I can take them if you want to come and visit us at the event. So you've got some links and useful information there, and you've also got my email for any other questions. Thank you very much, and we hope that you'll apply soon and come and join us in January.